Welcome to Chartbreaking Sports. I'm Connor Hartley, here with frequent guest Ethan Plaza. Ethan, you're in Spain. Spain just played. How are you doing?
Doing good, Connor. And they beat England. They're pretty good performance from Spanish national side. It was a home game, but still England didn't look all that impressive. For the most part, the starters were playing, so it was a good, strong win for the Spanish. Beautiful first goal for them by a Villarreal player, only receiving a second cap. Forgetting his name all of a sudden. It's only a second cap made for right
Mario.
back. Scored a beautiful bicycle kick goal.
Mario is his name.
Yes, that is his name. Mario Casper scored his first goal for the Spanish. Won the game-winning goal. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a beauty.
Now, where did you watch the game at? Were you at the stadium? Were you at a bar at home?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't at the stadium. It was all the way in southern Spain. I was just watching it at home.
A lot of unfamiliar names when I was looking at the team sheets as to who was playing. I didn't see a whole lot of I saw a lot, at least, of relatively new Spanish faces. Some of the New England guys were coming through, which is good. I think it's Harry Kane's first start for England in a competitive game, which is great to see. Didn't look like the English played too well, though.
The English did not play too well. Like I said, they were away. They had a few chances, but Spain was just definitely the better side for basically the entirety of the game. In typical Spanish fashion, they possessed England pretty significantly. I don't know what the final numbers were. And like you kind of said, it wasn't necessarily a squad everyone may have been familiar with for both sides, but at the same time, like Rooney came off the bench for England, wearing the number 19, which is kind of funny to see. Harry Kane did start. For Spain, you had Pedro come off the bench, Juan Mata came off the bench. Iker Casillas is still starting goalie, for better or for worse, even though he didn't have too much trouble and got the shutout. Spain's defense was nothing. It's pretty familiar. I get them to out of the ordinary. PK, Ramos, Jordi Alba, and then up top you had Diego Costa. He's only made his 9th or 10th appearance for Spain, but he's a pretty well-known player, especially by some of those English players. And he didn't have a bad game. Didn't score, but he didn't have a bad game.
Good to hear.
You had Cesc Fabregas playing, and recent.
I was just gonna say it's good to hear that Costa played well for somebody, and Fabregas, same thing. I think Fabregas got the assist on the nice goal.
They both played decently well. They both came off in the second half. Yeah, Diego Costa, the few other times he even played for the Spanish national team, he just doesn't seem to blend in with them very well. In the World Cup, that was really obvious. In the World Cup, those were like his first 3 or 4 games with the Spanish national team. He didn't go through World Cup qualifying with them. And he just looked so out of place, and he was always on a different page. It didn't seem to be that way today. Granted, he was playing with Cesc, so that definitely helped. They played together at Chelsea. But even like with Iniesta, he started for Spain. Iniesta is one of those guys he can play with pretty much anyone. So, but yeah, it was good to see Diego Costa not look totally lost out there.
All right, that's probably enough time for that we can devote to a friendly match. I don't know about these friendlies. There were a lot of high-profile ones happening just now.
There were a lot of high-profile. Yeah, France, Germany.
Yeah, Belgium and Italy.
Belgium.
I don't know. It's interesting to me. It's interesting timing because there are games going on that have a meaningful impact on the Euro qualifiers and the World Cup qualifiers today. But we have these huge friendlies that draw a ton of attention, and I don't know how much I like this divided attention deal. Of course, if you're the national federations for these teams, you want to play against high-level competition, and the best teams aren't involved in qualifiers, at least in Europe right now. So you have a free opportunity to play yourself against a high difficulty match, but I am more interested, I guess, in the less appealing but more sort of competitive games like the one that I watched, Ireland and Bosnia. Now, you did not catch any of this, correct?
That is correct.
Well, it's okay. There was only about one half of it to be caught. The field was covered in fog by the second half, and watching from the traditional camera angle, you really couldn't see a thing. So it was a real exercise in futility trying to watch, to the point that the producers started showing the game from the cameras behind the goals because they were a little less foggy whenever the ball was really within a final third. So that was an interesting way to consume a soccer game. Um, so what preconceptions did you have with this Ireland Bosnia match going into it? Any?
Not exactly. I mean, it's playoff home and away. This was in Bosnia, correct?
Yeah, I was.
So, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, we'll talk Norway-Hungary game later, but Ireland, you have Robbie Keane, you have Željko Bosnia. Bosnia was in the World Cup last year. You think they would kind of have an edge in that department, but I don't really have too many preconceptions about the Ireland-Bosnia game.
Yeah, well,
they both finished third in their respective group as well, so they, I guess from my perspective, are fairly evenly matched.
yeah, and it was a pretty even game, I would say. There was one team with more talent and one team with more cohesion, and they ended up drawing 1-1, which I thought was a pretty fair result. Both goals came in the second half. Um, it was interesting because Fogsnia had a lot better talent on the field. You mentioned Dzeko, you've got Pjanic, and a lot of other high quality players in that team, a lot of creative attacking players, and they definitely looked better going forward. Then you've got the Republic of Ireland, where you don't have big names. Your most creative player is going to be Wes Hoolahan, which only English fans are going to be familiar with, and Seamus Coleman, the Everton right back. And I mean, he plays a great ball. He's got wonderful dribbling skills, but you can only gain so much going forward from an outside back. But the Republic of Ireland was really condensed. They were tactically disciplined. They were energetic, made some great interceptions on Bosnia's loose passes, and they came in. Then they did score the away goal. Now, here's something interesting I wanted to ask you about. Did you know that the third place teams were ranked?
No, I did not. I did not know that.
Okay, so here's how UEFA does it. They take the third place teams out of the 9 qualifying groups. The top team qualifies for Euro automatically. They don't have to do a playoff, and that was Turkey. The way they decide that is they take the team's matches and they remove their matches against the worst team in their group. And then
one group that only had one less match. I remember.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So for the rest of the teams, they remove their matches against the worst team, and then they do the point totals. So Republic of Ireland and Bosnia were 7th and 8th out of the 9, so they were right there at the bottom. Do you think that these teams should be playing like 2 versus 9, 3 versus 8, or is that just not a European idea at all? I mean, they were drawn at random.
They were drawn at random. Well, I feel they should be having like a 1-8, 2-7 if they are going to bother seeding them. Because the thing with seeding is it's a little bit subjective, and it's like, do you use the FIFA ranks or do you just randomly? I mean, I think a bigger example of this is last summer for the World Cup. Sweden, in a similar things coming out of Europe, Sweden played Portugal. So that was, you had 2 of the 8 remaining teams, 4 similar situation, 8 teams going for 4 spots, and you had 2 of the best teams playing each other, Sweden and Portugal, right off the bat. And the Portuguese ended up winning and going to the World Cup, and Sweden had to home. But and then on the other hand, you had teams like Iceland playing Croatia, or I don't remember the Iceland Croatia one of the teams in Croatia ended up. So on that hand, they should be seeded. You'd have one matchup where 2 teams that are really 4 of the 8 and one of them ends up having to miss out on the tournament. So you'd be as far as the seeding system. using the FIFA rankings, they're a bit subjective, but on the other hand, there's not really a better formula. So in my opinion, yes, there should be like a 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5 sort of matchups, just so that there isn't a disparity like how we had last summer with one of the top four teams missing out, or two of the top four teams having to play each other. But I guess what happens, until they fix it, we're just gonna continue having sort of the occasional unbalanced match. What do you?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree that it should go like that. Although I would probably, instead of redoing the points as they do, I would probably look at the goal differential. In which case Ukraine would be the top seed and would have qualified automatically. They had a +7 goal differential, but lost a game where Turkey won, and so Turkey goes through with a +5. Interestingly, the third top team left, Norway, has the worst goal differential. However that works. They have a -2, but they're ahead of 5 other teams. For the most part, I think that there's not really any major disparity in quality. We're not going to have a Portugal-Sweden situation here. Hungary and Norway theoretically is the highest ranked matchup. Hungary is the number 2 team, Norway is the number 4 team, and that's with Turkey being the number 1. Republic of Ireland and Bosnia will see a team that has a lower ranking go through than any of the other matchups. But again, these teams are just as good probably as the rest of the teams they're trying to qualify against. So I don't think that in this case the misapplication hurts the process, but it could be better. It could be done right. Should these teams just, instead of playing a playoff game, should they just be combined with the team they should be playing against and put into Euros? Because these teams aren't all that good.
No, they're not. What do you mean should they be combined?
Like Republic of Ireland and Bosnia come together to make Republic of Bosnia, and
pick starting 11 based on all the players available.
Yeah, exactly. How would that team do?
That would be good for nationalistic. I think fans will get behind that idea. That's exactly what the Irish and the Bosnians want, to play with some random people from across the continent. Yeah, that would work. That would work.
It's like having a club team.
Exactly.
It'd be really great if you could get like Russia and Ukraine, or some countries that really have some issues, and put them together. That would be fantastic. Like if you made Croatia rejoin with, or if you like rebuilt Yugoslavia, basically, you would have some interesting team politics inside the camp.
You would have interesting team politics inside the camp.
All right, well let's get back into reality and talk about the other game that's happened. So Republic of Ireland, Bosnia, in Bosnia, fair game, 1-1, correct result. R. Brady scored for Republic of Ireland, because R. Brady's always scoring. That's Robbie Brady. Hungary and Norway played each other in perhaps the most dominating display in a loss that I've seen in Norway's part. They lost 1-0, and they won the possession battle 83-17.
That's ridiculous.
I would have to imagine that that's a record, although I couldn't prove it.
Possession. I feel like there's times when it's like one team very obviously outpossesses the other, and then you look at the business at the end of the game and it's only like 62-8 or 64 being like not much as you think. 3 and I don't think Hungary must have touched the ball like 5 times. I don't know if they managed to do that.
And one of them was a goal.
One of them was a goal.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I'm trying to think back. When Chelsea beat Barcelona a few years ago, I think it was about 75-25, and that at the time seemed like a good reflection, but also the possession was outrageously dominant for Barcelona. You remember that game?
Yeah.
Really both of them, I think. But that was such a one-sided deal.
Right. easy to think of. That's the game a few years ago was outrageously towards Barcelona, and yeah, 75% Barcelona. So for this game to be even more than that, it's hard to fathom considering that Chelsea barely took the ball that game. But I guess that's what happens sometimes. Best team doesn't always win. It's a team that scores more goals. Huh?
Yeah, and Hungary's definitely not the best team. I'm looking at technically they should be the top team left by their qualifying, but I looked at their results. They've really not been very impressive. They gave up 4 goals to Greece in their last game, and that's a Greek team that finished bottom of their group. They got scored on by the Faroe Islands. I can't believe they didn't get scored on by Norway. However, you kind of would like to see Hungary in the playoffs or in the Euros, right? Because they haven't made a major tournament in like 30 years almost. And it's a country with a lot of classical soccer history that it'd be great to hear more about if they made the tournament.
That is true. That's true. Yes, Norway and I don't know when the last time Norway was in a major tournament, but I know it's more recently than Hungary. And actually, I just saw another stat, show a position stat that had a little more even at 63%. Still, not the 83% we originally saw, but still very dominating. But either way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, every soccer organization is going to count it a little differently. A lot of that disparity comes from who you give the possession to when the ball's out of bounds, whether you don't count it at all or whether you give that time to whoever has the throw in or free kick or whatever. But ESPN gave them 83%. And I think a lot of people don't really know about Hungary's soccer history. They made the second final, right, in 36. And they made the final in 1954. They definitely made it in 54.
Yeah, I know in 54 they were like the head and shoulders favorites to win the whole thing, and then Germany upset them. It's kind of weird to say that considering how those two countries' soccer histories have evolved since then. But Germany was the big underdog in that game, and it was a big victory for them. Surprise against the Hungarians.
Well, that Hungary team had Puskás, who was a great forward at the time, and the Goal of the Year award is named after him. I think we'll probably talk about that. I haven't seen the goals yet, but I'd like to talk about that at a future time. So anyway, looks like Hungary might go through, and that'd be cool. They've got the second leg to play, obviously. Let's do a little preview on the other two games. Ukraine, Slovenia. Ukraine plus 7 goal differential in the group stage. Slovenia -1. Got to be Ukraine favorites. But in just some recent history, I think in 2000, Slovenia upset Ukraine to go on to the Euros. Are we going to see that again? What are we going to see here?
Well, it's hard to say. First game is tomorrow in Ukraine, so they have that going for them. I don't know too much about the Slovenian team. In Ukraine, half their names I can't pronounce, but Ukraine's one of those teams. Like they've had some World Cup success before. They made it to the round of 16. They've had some good runs before. So I'd probably have to say Ukraine's the favorite to advance. Slovenia's only been in the Euros once, actually. Back in 2000, they had a group stage exit, which isn't really very, I guess, promising for them. And I know they were in the World Cup in 2010. I think they're actually in the United States group. Ukraine was in the time. Actually, to get into the automatic bid.
Yeah, well, I'd probably agree. I still have a grudge against that Slovenia team after the way the Slovenia-USA game went down with the headed goal that got called back for off-the-ball contact with bunch of guys getting into headlocks and all that craziness. We had a great goal in that game, though. The Landon Donovan roof of the goal shot from the near
That was
post.
a classic goal. But, you can't really be too mad about the Slovenians, because that was the ref that made a highly questionable call.
That is true.
The other day. But still, that was a memorable game, down 2-0 at the half, came back, Donovan got a nice goal, put it in the roof, and then we tied it up looking. Really should have won that game, but at the end of the day, we ended up winning our game. Then losing to Ghana, inevitably.
Oh boy, that was tough. Won the group with 5 points. Not super remarkable, but. And that was a Ghana team that really could have gone on. I mean, they almost made the semifinals. They were one crossbar away from the semifinals.
Or one Luis Suarez not using his hands away from the semifinals.
Suarez will do what he needs to do. Bite somebody's ear off. Handball the ball on the goal line in the 90th minute. Alright, a little off topic. Last game, Denmark-Sweden. These teams are ranked 5th and 6th, and so they would have played even if you had seeded these teams. Denmark, slight favorite on goal differential, but Sweden, slight favorite off Zlatan differential.
Nice Scandinavian matchup here. This one might be this is probably the best match in my opinion, just because we have the regional rivalry, which is with Ireland and Bosnia. It's Bosnia, they're not going to be able to do anything. But with Sweden, Denmark, in countries, so there's definitely a history there. And then you have Zlatan out of the last tournament. It's been a while.
Did they make Euro 2012?
I can't recall.
I think they did. I want to say they did, and I know they made the World Cup in 2010. Is that right?
I think they missed in 2010. I think in 2006 was the last time they were in the World Cup.
All right, that's right. But Zlatan's been there at some point.
He has. Either way, I'd rather see Zlatan play in the Euros than Denmark. Sorry, Denmark.
No love for Nicholas Bentner?
No, or Skirtle. Whatever you say, that Liverpool defender's name. I think I butchered it.
I love Skirtle. He's great. He scores as many own goals as he does real goals. It's fantastic.
Either way, that'll be a good matchup. And I think Zlatan's gonna carry. He's gonna put the team on back and possibly even into the final. He's scoring 3 goals between these 2 games.
He does have to.
That's a little generous.
It does. It always seems like this team just never has quite enough to get through. And I feel like you could see Denmark getting through on a Christian Eriksen free kick or something.
That is true. I mean, last time around, I remember going to the World Cup. Yeah, they were in a really tough group with Germany for the 2014 qualifiers, and so obviously they didn't win the group. I think they actually tied Germany in one of those games, a 5-5 tie or something. But still, Sweden didn't win or didn't qualify for the World Cup because they were in Germany's group. Then they get drawn with Portugal. Ronaldo scores 4 goals in 2 games. Don't the World Cup, and now here they are again in the playoffs. And I think this time it just looks like a law of averages thing. They need to get through eventually. Sometime around, Sweden's going to Euros.
Do you like the home and away system, the 2 games with the away goal rule? Because that's another thing that seeding could potentially remove, is the need for the away goal rule. I've never liked it too much. What are your thoughts?
I'm not as big a hater on it as most people. I think there's a lot of people who really don't like the away goal rule. I think it's not perfect. It has its flaws, but at the same time, it's acceptable, in my opinion. It's an acceptable tiebreaker where our home and away matchups. I don't really know what else. I mean, I wouldn't want to just give the tiebreaker to the home team. I wouldn't want it for just one game. I think with this case, home and away it's kind of hard to think of a better solution.
Well, let me throw my idea at you, and tell me what you think. All right, you ready to hear this?
All right.
All right. So this doesn't happen in every incidence of the away goal rule. Like Champions League, it won't happen. But if you seed these teams, or if you look at like the MLS playoffs, pour one out for the Seattle Sounders, by the way, where you have seeding, you know which team did better to get to where they are. You know that, by American rules of home court advantage, the team with the better record plays at home last. So what you could do is if you have seeds, you have the first game at the lower seeds home field and the second game at the higher seeds home field. And if you're drawn on aggregate across the two games, you can go into the playoffs, or you can go into the overtime, so you get 30 more minutes on the higher seeded team's field, and then you go to penalty kicks. No away goal rule.
No away goal rule. So just the tie. Okay, well, so just immediately go to overtime if it's tied.
Yeah, regardless of where the goals were scored.
Yeah, I guess that is an option, but then, like you said, it would have to be in a. There would have to be some sort of seeding. Couldn't do that in Champions League necessarily.
Yeah, and
but you could, and it does happen in Champions League on occasion.
Yeah, and obviously.
Yeah, I guess that's an option, but I don't know. I can't see that being changed anytime soon. The away goal rule, people only complain about it when it hurts them, and when it helps them, they just kind of brush it aside as like, oh, that's how we've always done it, sort of thing.
It's just a weird strategy, right? Like if you're up on away goals, you can just defend a tie. It's
just park the bus. Like I'm sure Hungary's gonna park a big fat bus in front of their goal when they play in Norway again.
Oh my God, they're gonna park a fire truck.
Park multiple.
Yeah, They might park a fire station in front of the goal.
And based on the possession numbers from last game, it's probably gonna be something similar.
Are we gonna see the first 100-0 possession game?
Well, each team gets that kickoff at one point.
Okay, so 99-1.
Just might.
Did Jose Mourinho coin the term "park the bus"? I feel like he did, and he doesn't get the credit for it.
I don't know. That is something that would be an interesting little tidbit if he did. That might be one of his better contributions to the game. So I'm not sure. I really could see that being something crazy that Mourinho would say, and that people would just kind of say it as a joke, but then start saying it kind of seriously when you realize how frequently it's done. I don't know. We're gonna have to look into that.
Well, even if it wasn't him, I remember I kind of remember it coming into my consciousness with his 2010 Inter team that just defended their way to the Champions League title and countered occasionally. But now it's such a commonly taken expression. It's even in FIFA. You can put your team on park the bus mode. It's not ultra defensive. It's park the bus.
Is it really?
Yeah. That's your deepest thing there.
No, but yeah, it's definitely a phrase that is frequently used, and it's not like, it's slang to an extent, and it is a bit, well, if you said it to a random person, they wouldn't know what it is, but any soccer fan would, is familiar with parking the bus and the concept of, parking the bus.
Yeah. All right, well, that's probably enough on the Euros, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
I'm pretty excited for that tournament. This is going to be a good summer for soccer with the Olympics and the Euros, and it should be good. But let's talk about Champions League. All right.
So Arsenal by Bayern Munich, the world is back in order. Things seem to be hidden. Arsenal has continued to play sporadically and inconsistent. And this was in Munich, and the first game was, you can't really expect them to beat Bayern Munich twice, that home and away. That would just be after too much, in my opinion. So 5-1 may have been a little harsh, but such is life for Arsene Wenger and friends.
You were really excited for that game. You came on last time.
For that game.
And you said that you legitimately couldn't wait to see Arsenal and Bayern, and then you maybe watched 20 minutes of it, I'm guessing, but it was over after that.
Yeah, it was. It was something I was looking forward to, and the pregame hype more than I bargained for, I guess. And yeah, the game it was one-sided showing.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
that happens. Yeah.
And Arsenal is now looking like a really unlikely candidate to qualify for the round of 16. I don't have it in front of me, but it's been an awfully long time since they haven't qualified for that. But they are several points behind the two qualification spots. I believe they're sitting on 3 points right now.
They are sitting on 3 points through 4, so I guess best case scenario, obviously, they finish with 9 points. That would probably be enough to get them through, assuming that Bayern Munich just wins out.
Well, here's the problem for them. Olympiacos already has 9 points, and
do they?
Olympiacos,
so Olympiacos would have.
Yeah, they'd have to lose both, and Arsenal would have to make up a 4-goal differential disparity with Olympiacos. It's a really tough way back.
Well, the thing with that is, for Arsenal right now, their best case scenario is when Bayern is not that they win by 4 goals. They win when 1-0, 2-0, or something, and that Bayern Munich just pummels Olympiacos like 6-1. That's really the only way Barcelona would get them.
Yeah, that, and then they would have to beat Olympiacos after that.
Oh yeah, well this is granted that they get their 9 points. The Bayern Munich would just have to pummel Olympiacos when they play each other.
That's totally, that's pretty likely to happen. You gotta say.
It really isn't that far fetched.
The Arsenal Olympiacos game is going to be a great one though, because Arsenal's going to have to win, and who knows what the goal differential will be after Arsenal presumably beats Dinamo Zagreb, although they lost to them last time.
And that game, this time it'll be in London for whatever that's worth, but the Olympiacos game will be in Greece. Yeah. So we will, well, by this point, who knows? Arsenal could already be eliminated. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, let's look at some of the other groups. Let's just go through them. We'll go through them in reverse order. Group H, Zenit St. Petersburg, perfect, 12 points. Valencia and Ghent, really the two candidates to survive. Leon, if they win both of their games, could presumably get ahead of Valencia, but it looks pretty straightforward. Valencia can get one win and they're solid through.
People in Spain have been a little disappointed by Valencia so far, actually. They feel that, for the most part, a lot of things they really would be the clear top team in this group. I don't think so many people expected Zenit to really, be a perfect through 4 games. Valencia sitting at 500, 2 wins, 2 draws. 2 wins, 2 losses. But either way, those qualify for the next round. They won't be a 1 seed; they'll be a 2 seed, which isn't the worst thing, but not performance a lot of work from Valencia, considering this is probably the weakest group.
I wasn't super excited about their team when I saw them play against Monaco in the qualifiers. I just, I wasn't blown away by the squad that they have and their attacking creativity. It didn't seem like their defense was going to hold up. I'm really not very high on that team.
For Javi Fuego, the best name in the world.
They do have Faguli and Javi Fuego. Some of our buddy Mark's favorite players. Let's look at Group G. So Group G, FC Porto, kind of running away with it. They've got 10. Chelsea's in second on 7. Dinamo Kiev has 5. Maccabi Tel Aviv minus 10 goal differential, no points. So
they're
Chelsea
happy to qualify. They're happy to hear.
Yeah, no, they're not. So Chelsea took care of business against Kiev, winning 1, drawing 1. They've got Porto next.
Just barely.
Yeah. They could still win the group. Amazingly.
Yeah, that's conceivable.
Let me tell you something. Chelsea has, I believe, an 11 better goal differential in Champions League compared to in England.
That's disappointing. Well, for Chelsea in England, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, 16th place in the Premier League, 2nd place in Group G, with a +4.
Oh, well, when you say it like that, it sounds Well, granted, they don't play Maccabi Tel Aviv in the group in England, but whatever.
Yeah, but Kiev is a good team. We'll see how Chelsea does
Yeah, they're
against
not
Porto
bad.
next.
Yeah, and then they finished Tel Aviv, so Chelsea made that. I don't know if it'd be the first spot. Well,
They'd have to beat Porto.
figure it draws out. They have to beat Porto. Yes.
And then they get
That
Maccabi.
will put them even on goal differential. So if they beat Porto and then Porto plays Dynamo Kiev, you assume Chelsea would beat Tel Aviv by a larger margin than Porto beats Dynamo Kiev. So, yeah. But then again, first Chelsea needs to get done with business in London, correct?
Yeah, in London. And if they lose that game, Kiev is going to jump them in the standings, and then it's just a battle. I mean, they'll beat Maccabi, so I'm not worried about them qualifying.
Yeah. But then Porto, they might rest their starters. You never know. So if Chelsea get the draw, they'll find.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably. Yeah. The goal differential, Chelsea's up 3 on Kiev, so that shouldn't be an issue unless Kiev pummels Tel Aviv, which isn't unrealistic.
Quick aside, Chelsea lost to Stoke this weekend, and it wasn't pretty. Actually, it was kind of pretty. They played pretty well, but they lost 1-0. Did you see any of that? You're kind of a big Stoke guy, right? Ethan, you get to see any of the game?
Oh, yeah. I did not. No, Shaqiri. Shaqiri, big fan of our Swiss friend Shaqiri. And, the Stoke long ball, which they no longer employ, but really should.
This game wasn't on a cold night in Stoke, and Chelsea still lost.
I mean, what do you expect? Let them to win? Like, come on.
At some point, I do.
At some point. I mean, who's below them in the tables right now?
Well,
Aston Villa.
The two Tyneside teams.
Who somehow drew Manchester City.
Yeah, that's that new manager syndrome. No, Newcastle and Sunderland are both below them, and I believe Bournemouth.
Oh, Bournemouth. Okay. So I think if you combine all the payrolls for those teams, add 100 million euros or pounds, you'll almost get to Chelsea.
I'm sure the combined payrolls of those teams couldn't afford Eden Hazard's valet.
Let's look at Group B. Talk about Group F.
Yeah, we did Group
F.
F.
We have Roma, Bayer Leverkusen, and Bate. So this group's a little more interesting.
Definitely.
Barcelona in first with 10 points. That's not really much of a dispute. Roma and Bayer Leverkusen with 5 and 4 points respectively. So those two have played each other twice, and they were both very, very high-scoring games. A 4-4 draw and a 4-2 Roma victory. So what is that? 14 goals between them in 2 games. So unfortunately, those two will not play again. Roma will take on, I believe, Bate next, and Bayer Leverkusen will take on Barcelona next. I'm not mistaken. So Roma should get a nice jump, and Bayer Leverkusen, we can only assume will lose that game. Granted, the last time those two teams played with Barcelona and Bayer Leverkusen was a very close game. Barcelona kind of undeservedly won, but Barcelona's playing a lot better recently. Even with Messi being out, they've really kind of managed. They figured out how to play without him. And on that note, Messi should be back very, very soon. But I'm going to say Barcelona and Roma make it through, with Bayer Leverkusen getting an honorable mention in third.
That's too bad, because Bayer Leverkusen plays some really attractive soccer, and they're an awfully good team. But you're right, they need to get at least a point off Barca if you assume that Roma beats Bate in order to stay alive, and they don't have the tiebreaker against Roma. So it would be tough for them. What was that stat that I saw recently that Suarez and Neymar have scored 18 of Barcelona's last 18 goals?
I haven't, but it might be true. I mean, occasionally, I know Rakitic scored a couple of goals a week or two ago. Because the other forward, it was Munir El-Hadini or Sandro, who I guess I made a Messi replacement because they run a 4-3-3. whoever it is, it doesn't matter who it is. They never score. They say they've been set up to set up Neymar and Suarez at the stretch. They get opportunities, they just can't finish them. But maybe my expectations are too high just watching, I guess, Neymar and Suarez play. So I believe that. It's pretty ridiculous. But actually, I didn't remember actually did the last time they played. So maybe we shouldn't even assume Roma is going to beat them.
It's tricky in this group. I wanted to ask you something, by the way. You saw Neymar's goal, I'm assuming. Yeah?
His goal against which one?
The one where he did the sombrero and scored. Off the cross from Suarez.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that one? Where he flicks it with his foot over his head and finished? I don't remember who it was against, but anyway, he and what was the other guy? Somebody else in La Liga, I believe. I.K. Williams, something like that. Ilke Williams.
Oh yeah, up on Bilbao, yes.
Scored an identical goal basically, and I wanted to ask you which one you thought was better.
All right, one moment. Let me watch this go over right now. I got the video loading, and then I.Q. Williams of Bilbao scored the other one.
Oh, so do we get to hear the live reaction then? Remember when reaction videos were a thing on YouTube?
Oh yeah, I was never a fan of them, but I do remember they were a thing.
They're kind of stupid, but
yeah.
All right, well let's get your reaction audio then. So make sure you play up the vocals.
All right, 1 second.
All right, if you didn't see the goal, Neymar's goal at least. Suarez gets the ball, takes it down the left wing, crosses it in. Neymar receives it, takes a touch over his head, gets the defender to go the wrong way, and finishes with a volley into the bottom corner. However, I thought the other goal was even better, personally, because he really, really throws off a defender and he's in a tighter space, splits two guys, and finishes it. By the way, Williams, is that a Basque name?
That was I did see the name on goal. Actually, no, I don't know why it's not. I had already seen that. That was a nice goal.
You're a jackass.
So let it go back. I was in the in Spain, which has an interesting history in that their language is different than this language in Europe, and one knows exactly how these people got it. But they are believed to be the original settlers of Europe, thousands and thousands of years ago, before the Greeks and Romans and everyone. The Basque people are believed to be the original settlers of Europe, and I have seen and heard their language before, and it does not sound like anything you've ever heard. The first time I saw it written, I was like, oh, it's German, but it's not, basically. It wasn't. But anyway, so Athletic Bilbao has a rule, sort of self-imposed, of course, that the only people that they only have players that are Basque or people that have lived in the Basque region for basically their entire life and have been with a club since they were young. So they're not going to assign anyone on the open transfer market. You could be from Madrid and they still wouldn't take you. If you are in one of the neighboring regions, Navarra or Rioja, they might let you play with them. Or even Basque region of France, which is a teeny little slip of southern France, then Athletic Bilbao will consider you for their squad. But this player, Ike Williams, is Ghanaian, but he has lived in Bilbao for so he was born in Ghana, but raised in Bilbao, and I guess associates himself as a Basque. So he is allowed to play for Athletic Bilbao. A lot of interest from some Premier League clubs, so we'll see how long he stays at Bilbao. That is a question.
That is such a weird rule, by the way. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if like the Cowboys in Dallas had a rule where if you weren't like if you weren't a white Texan or you grew up in Dallas your whole life, you couldn't play for the Cowboys?
That will be a weird rule. And, well, the white part, no one would, that wouldn't stick around for very long. But even just the Texan part, like, oh, you have to be Texas born and raised or you're not going to be on this team. It doesn't matter if you're from Louisiana. Nope, it just wouldn't happen. And Bilbao's still been very popular. I mean, they've still been a fairly successful franchise. So I mean, if it works, I guess. But I guess from our perspective, it's hard to fathom. I remember when I first heard about that, I actually didn't believe it. I was surprised. And even Real Sociedad, another team from the Basque region, they play in San Sebastian, a smaller city, but still in the Basque country. You used to have that same ball, but then they got rid of it a few years ago. I think their manager is David Moyes. He's from England. Antoine Griezmann used to play for them, French, currently playing Atletico Madrid, and even I think Carlos Vela of Mexico used to play for them. So they don't do that anymore. But Atletico Bilbao still is a Basque-only club.
Yeah, and ignoring all the really obvious sort of strange and maybe, I mean, it seems like it's accepted in Spain, but the inappropriateness of allowing one ethnic group to play on your team, how do they manage to field a good team?
Yeah, that is the surprising part. And their marquee player right now, Williams, he's black. He's Ghanaian born, but even then, I guess because he was raised and lived much of his life in Bilbao, he qualified to play on their team. But it is surprising that considering they have such a small talent pool to choose from, that they have been able to field such a strong team. I couldn't tell you what it is. I guess something's up with the water up there. When that Bilbao's been able to stay competitive despite not recruiting very heavily from parts of the country, let alone the world, or world alone the country.
Fernando Llorente is the best like Basque player, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Why are we talking about this? Who even cares about this?
Anyway.
It's kind of interesting. Next group. This one's pretty much decided. Group D. Man City, 9 points. Juventus, 8 points. Sevilla, 3 points. Mönchengladbach, 2 points. It's going to be City and Juventus.
Hey, Fabian Johnson scored a goal last match day.
Yeah, he did.
American love.
Yeah, congrats to Fabian.
I will say all these games, even if you look at standings, it seems like there's a clear winner in second place, and just like all these games have been very close. The Sevilla Man City games have been good. Man City, both of them. Same with the other, and basically all four of these teams are good teams, and all the games have been close. And even though it kind of looks like two teams have really ran away with the group, I wouldn't exactly say that it's been that way.
Yeah, the results haven't. Yeah, the results haven't really borne out the like process of play. Sevilla is an excellent team, a lot better than some of the teams that are gonna qualify. But moving on, because results-wise, it is pretty much decided, unless Juventus loses out. Yeah, Juventus needs to lose out, and Sevilla needs to win out. Group C, Benfica, 9 points. Atletico, 7 points. Galatasaray has a chance at 4 points, but they've been a lot worse. They've got a -2 goal differential versus Atletico 5, Benfica 3. Atletico could make a power play and push for the top of this group, but I don't really see any other surprises happening here.
Yeah, Atletico does play Benfica next, so yeah, they definitely could push for the top of the group, but they haven't. I mean, even though last time we podcasted, I made the statement they were going to win league, and since saying that they they tied Astana 0-0, so that didn't help their case, which would have put them level with Benfica, but anyway, they tied Astana, and then they won 1-0 in La Liga against Sporting Gijón, a team sitting currently in relegation, and that was a 1-0 stoppage time goal. So they they'll have a bit of a break, so maybe they'll turn it around. They'll be okay.
Shout out to Astana, by the way. They're from Kazakhstan, the first Kazakh team to be in the Champions League group stage, and they got 2 draws.
Yeah, good for them actually. Yeah, one of them against Galatasaray, and then against Madrid.
It's got to be
the temperature in that game was in the 30s, was basically below freezing. But Doesn't matter. Yeah, good for them.
It's got to help having a 5-hour time differential compared to the rest of Europe.
Yeah, it helps a little bit, but that can't be that you can't use that as an excuse.
Oh, of course not. All right, let's look at the most competitive group, Group B. No, I mean you could see this at the very beginning. There was no clear head and shoulders above the rest team in this group, but I think PSV Eindhoven has been the surprise here. We've got Manchester United in first on 7, PSV in second on 6, Wolfsburg in third on 6, CSK Moscow on 4th at 4 points. Anybody could qualify. Anybody could win the group.
Anyone could qualify, and anyone could win the group. It's definitely the most exciting group remaining. I'm United, and I don't even know. I'm just gonna say United qualifies just because it's kind of hard not to say United qualifies. But after that, it's tough to say. They've all been close games, all been good games. I want to say Wolfsburg is gonna edge out PSV Eindhoven. On the other hand, maybe not. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you look at the goal differential, you really see how tight it is. Manchester United, best goal differential at 1. CSK Moscow, lowest at -1. That's incredible. I would say...
They've played 4 games.
Yeah. So PSV is definitely the underdog here. They would have been expected to finish last in this group. I don't necessarily like Wolfsburg a whole lot, minus De Bruyne. I think that he was such a big... Yeah, but Dante. No, he was such a big part of their attack, and they haven't really replaced him adequately. I actually like Moscow coming up from last and qualifying for the next round. And I'd probably put United top of the group. They're so boring to watch, but they'll grind out their results.
Yeah, I still think United's going to win this. Can't say deservedly so, but they'll win this one. I don't know if they'll make it. Depends on their matchup. Maybe they'll make it past the round of 16, but you never know.
All right, and lastly, the easiest group to call right off the bat before the Champions League started, Group A, Real Madrid 10 points, PSG 7 points, Shakhtar with 3, Malmo with 3, Madrid and PSG probably going to qualify. I mean, Madrid already has, but they'll go through the top like that. They've already played each other twice, so they'll beat up on the other 2 teams 2 more times and go through. What do you think of the game between them?
Oh, that game is Madrid won, correct?
Yeah, 1-0. Yeah, the one they won 1-0.
Oh, yes, of course, yes. It was a horrible game. But it wasn't a horrible game. It was a good game. It was a horrible goal. It was the goalie, PSG's goalie Trapp, came out at a bad angle to get a ball that he shouldn't have came out for, and then once he realized that that was kind of a no man's land, that he shouldn't have came out for it, it was too late. At that point, he was just off. He had a bad angle on goal, and Real Madrid scored an easy goal, which I was disappointed to see that was how the game was decided, considering it was bad mistake, very good teams, and that could be the difference between PSG playing Barcelona in the second round, or them playing Valencia. You know, the difference between having a 1 seed and a 2.
Yeah, that's tough. PSG, I thought, played really well, actually. They had some chances. Cavani really shit himself, shit on the field, shit on the fans, missed some easy chances.
Yes, he did.
But, I mean, these are 2 excellent teams, and PSG could have won both games and ended up being a Madrid tie and win. But you got to say, they are by far the best second-place team, and they're either going to easily upset or massively challenge whoever they play in the round of 16.
Oh, absolutely. That goes without saying. But then it's one of those things, because they're the second-ranked team, it's like, wow, you never know who they're going to play in the next round. It could be, they play CSK Moscow if they manage to win the group, or they could play Bayern Munich, and that would probably end their season early, but still be a very, very good match. It's hard to tell.
Well, every year there are some number 1 seeds, so to speak, that get stuck in the same group as another number one seed, and then you've got groups where you don't have a great team in the group. So Group H with Zenit and Valencia could have really used Juventus or PSG instead, both of whom are not leading their groups.
Groups of death, as they're commonly referred to, and yeah, we got a couple groups of death.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think that somehow the FIFA gods will manage to make a ball bounce the right way, and we'll see PSG playing against like Manchester United in the round of 16.
Well, the thing about the FIFA gods is you can bribe them easily, as we know.
Yeah. Well, most of the FIFA gods are dying. They're all going to jail.
Sepp Blatter was hospitalized recently because of stress.
Oh, I'm sure. Do you remember when Jack Warner got hospitalized because of stress?
Yeah.
He got seen partying the next night.
What do you know?
Ah, God. So is Xavi going to be FIFA president in 2018 or 2020?
I don't know. 2020. He's still playing right now.
This will all work itself into my big Barcelona conspiracy theory. I don't know if this is the right format, but I'm getting that ready to go onto Reddit.
Okay, yeah, You work on your Barcelona conspiracy theory.
I will.
Keep working on it.
Messi's gonna get the region annexed by itself. Maybe not.
Maybe he's the one getting the region annexed. I think there's other people doing that. But anyway, I don't need to make this political. I think we're pretty much done with Champions League at the moment.
Yeah, done with Champions League. Let's do two more things. I'm gonna give a quick rundown of the teams that are in the current qualification spots for next year's Champions League, and then let's do our bold top fours.
All right.
Okay. So, if every domestic season ended today, the 22 teams would make the Champions League group stage. Those are the top 3 teams in the first 3 leagues. They are the top 2 teams in the leagues ranked 4th through 6th, and they're the top 1 team in leagues ranked 7 through 12. Those teams are, and tell me if you hear any upsets in here, Barca, Madrid, Atletico from Spain, Bayern, Dortmund, Wolfsburg from Germany, Man City, Arsenal, Leicester City from England, Fiorentina and Inter from Italy, Sporting and Porto from Portugal, CSKA Moscow and Loco Moscow from Russia, PSG from France, Shakhtar from Ukraine, Anderlecht from Belgium, Ajax from the Netherlands, Besiktas from Turkey, and Basel from Switzerland.
Well, I think it's safe to say the easiest quote upset would be Leicester City making, and I actually didn't realize that Roma was no longer up the table for Italy, and I'm looking at them now, they're just 1 point out, but they didn't really. But yeah, I think it's safe to say Leicester City making it would be a bit of a surprise, making it over United, Tottenham, or Liverpool. But only 20s, lots gonna change.
Yeah, the plot probably will change, but good for Leicester. Hopefully they stay strong. I would say Leicester's the biggest upset, but the biggest absence is Juventus. Not in the top 2 in Italy right now.
Probably true, yes. They've had a very rough start to the season, similar to Chelsea, and Juventus might consider Italy only the spot. Juventus in the Europa League next year.
Well, I think the only clear solution for Chelsea and Juventus is for Juventus to give Pogba to Chelsea. That should shore up both teams' problems, if you think about it.
Probably. Yeah, in January. That would make sense for both teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
We'd give them something back. We could give them... no, because he's already there. But, we could give them, like, Baba Rahman or Begovic once Courtois is back, or something even like that.
Yeah, they have some goalie issues. They don't have anyone good in goal, right?
No. And if they did, he'd be too young.
Yes, exactly. All
right. So those are the teams. Are you surprised at all that France has a lower coefficient ranking than Russia or Portugal?
Yes and no. I feel like yes, in the sense that recently you just heard so much about PSG, so you know so much about them, but no, and that the French league has never really been anything to get excited about. I think Portugal surprised Russia a little bit. Actually, I didn't know that Portuguese teams will occasionally make runs to the quarterfinals. Russian teams not as often. I mean, yeah, Russian teams not as often. So that's a little surprising. Portugal, they occasionally the fifth league in the world.
Yeah, you have to say that Russia's success is down to the Europa League, definitely not the Champions League. But it's funny, it's funny how we refer to these big five leagues, and France is the fifth league, and really they're the seventh league. They're not the top five, but it is PSG being the only contender outside the big four year after year.
Yeah. I mean, Lyon had their power, sort of. They won 8 straight French titles in the early 2000s, but these are gone.
Do you remember who their star was back then?
Sorry.
No, you don't remember their star player from that era? Current striker in Spain.
Who was it?
Benzema.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, he was killing it in Leon, and now he's apparently killing it with Valbuena.
Yeah, really.
What do you think of that? Do you think it matters? Do you even want to talk about it? Well, he's accused of blackmailing Valbuena, and we've seen problems with the French team in the past. Obviously, 2010 World Cup, but this is a weird one.
It is, and actually, when it first came out, people were it was all over the internet. But now it's kind of calmed down a bit. So until we hear anything else about it, it's hard to really. I mean, it's really. Because I don't really know the gossip of what's going off the field, but
if you could have blackmailed anybody at LMU club soccer, who would you have blackmailed, and what would it have been about?
I don't.
You don't know?
What?
You don't know? You don't have an answer for that?
I don't have an answer for that. I would blackmail you. Just
blackmailed me just cause. I might have blackmailed. God, this could be tricky. I might have blackmailed like Thierry over his visa or something. You think that would have worked?
Okay, over his visa.
Got to get that starting striker spot, or Rob Wagner over his Delta Sig bid.
It would be easy to blackmail one of the freshmen. They believe anything.
That's true. It would be easy to blackmail one of the freshmen. Let's see, another Spain-France kind of drama. Angel Di Maria said today that he thinks he left Madrid at the right time, and mentioned that they haven't won any championships since he left. How big a part does he play in them not winning any?
One of those things, like, okay, they haven't won anything, but they didn't win anything last season, and this season is still about halfway through. So it's like, okay, they had 1 year to win anything, so like, calm down. Like, if he says it's 5-6 years later, it's like, oh, that carries some weight, but it's way totally different meaning.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that he has little to nothing to do with them not winning anything last year. Yeah, he was an excellent player, and he was the best. He was the reason, I think, that they won in a couple years ago. They won La Decima, but you don't just win Champions League unless you're Barcelona, and even then, they've won 3 in 7 years, and that is like the greatest run of Champions League success since the 1950s. It's not something you just win.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves with that statement.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe
they
you could
easily win the treble. They could easily win the treble.
You could maybe make the argument that he, not having him hurt a little last year because he could have replaced Bale, but based on the amount of creative midfielders they have, you got to think that he doesn't make that much of an impact.
No, nothing. Not trying to take anything against him. He's a very good player, but yeah, no.
Oh, he's wonderful. He can be very helpful, but again, it's not something that you just do winning these.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your bold top four for Spain. And by bold top four, I mean if you had to pick 4 teams to finish in the Champions League spots, and you could only pick 2 of Madrid, Barca, Atletico, who's your 4?
Well, all right. So doing the bold top 4. Well, Barcelona, a few probably would give him a nod for top 4, but they've turned things around, so Barcelona will stay in the top 4. And last week I already made my bold prediction: Atletico's win league, so they're number 1. Barcelona, they can finish number 2. Real Madrid, though, they're going to have some fun in the Europa League. Real Madrid's streak of 19 consecutive Champions Leagues that they've qualified for will now end. I think it's 19. It's something ridiculous like that. But either way, Atletico Madrid are number 1. Barcelona number 2. Number 3, we're going to have, let's see who we have. Eibar, I'm not even sure how you pronounce it. Little village, little fishing village up north. Stadium holds only 6,000 people. They're kind of like the Bournemouth of the La Liga. I mean, they just kind of climbed up out of the ashes and have managed, and they're in 6th place right now. Somehow, their payroll is probably 10,000 euros a year, something ridiculous like that. They're like the Oakland A's, Moneyball status of La Liga. They're qualifying for Champions League. We're going to show them love.
All right, who you got 4th?
Let them sound. Everything all right over there?
Yeah, everything's good. Who you got 4th?
All right, and then in 4th place, we're gonna Celta Vigo is gonna hold on to that 4th place spot, even though apparently, from what I've been told, they tend to lose some steam the second half of the season. But they're holding on to the 4th place. They're gonna be Champions League along with Eibar, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona. They'll all have a grand old time killing it in Europe.
I like it. I like the Real Madrid exclusion. I'm gonna go a little different than you on this. I don't consider my top 4 nearly as bold as yours. I'm gonna have Barcelona winning. I think that's pretty. It's been pretty obvious so far that they've been the best team in Spain, and they don't even have their best player. I'll give Madrid number 2. Another good season for Madrid, not a great one. Real Madrid. I think they'll be more focused on Champions League than on Spain. I'm going to go Sevilla at number 3. Yes, I know. They're in 10th place right now. They're in a variety of competitions. They're going to turn it around and be fine. And I'm putting Villarreal at 4th. This is a team with a really staunch defense, and that's going to correlate to a lot of victories. There's a new study out that shows that holding shutouts is actually more effective in terms of gaining points than scoring 3 goals in a game. So Villarreal, with their defensive aptitude, is going to go through, finish 4th, make the Champions League. Let's go Yellow Submarine.
Villarreal could easily be the 4th team. They've had a good season so far.
All right.
They were the first place team for 6 or 7 weeks.
They're good. I kind of wanted to put Las Palmas in there, but couldn't quite swing it.
They're team from the Canary Islands.
Yeah, they're in 18th right now. Apparently their field is well, imagine if you walked out into a Seattle park that hadn't been maintained in several years right after a rainstorm. And it's just muddy.
Down in the Canary Islands, they've had a lot of flooding recently, so that might have something to do with it.
Imagine just rain and bumps and rocks and snakes in the grass and all sorts of things.
Snakes in the grass.
Maybe not those, but it's an ugly field, and really nobody scores on their home field.
Home field advantage.
Yeah, up the yin yang. All right, England. What do you have for England?
All right, so which only 2 of
City, Arsenal, United.
2 of City, Arsenal, United. Okay. So Arsenal are staying up there, and with City. Arsenal's going to win league. Going to be first in.
All right.
the 90s.
Arsenal winning. You might be forgetting the Invincibles, though.
Well, I'm just exaggerating a little bit. Each won league a little more recently in the 90s, but it's been a long time. So Arsenal's going to celebrate. Manchester City second, third, but they're going to be really close though. Tottenham has a good squad. Only lost one game, and it was a opening day own goal. So they're going to be in third. So good for Tottenham. Good for the Hotspurs. Leicester City, they've had a lot of fun in the top four, but that's not going to last, unfortunately. Man U, they're also having fun in the top four right now, but that's not going to last also. But the team that is going to play in fourth, I know you're thinking I'm saying Chelsea, but I'm not. I'm not that dumb. West Ham, another London team, will get the fourth spot, led by Valencia, who's coming back from injury, and take the league by storm. Score 10 goals, 20 goals down the stretch in almost that many games. And yeah, top four: Arsenal, City, Tottenham, West Ham, 3 London teams. Oh boy.
Nice. I like to hear it. That's a good showing for London. At one of these podcasts, we've got to decide who would win if you aggregated a London team. So you take all the London squads versus a Northwest team, which would be Man City, Man U, or Liverpool, Everton, versus the rest of the country.
We'll say that for another time.
Yeah, that'd be a fun exercise. All right, so my top four. I tend to agree with you. I think Arsenal's going to win, unfortunately. As much as it pains me to say and makes me want to rip my heart out of my chest to show that I bleed blue, not red. I think Arsenal might win the league this year. They've got a good squad. They're not going to have Champions League to worry about. It's a fluid team for once, and Mesut Ozil looks like he's putting together a consistent string of performances. Scary stuff. Next up, I'm going to have Tottenham finishing second. This is a very solid team. They've got Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, who are probably the future of center back for Belgium, along with an excellent attacking lineup. They've got Moussa Dembele finally playing up to his potential. Harry Kane's rounding into form. I love Eriksen. It's a good team. They don't have Aaron Lennon anymore, which obviously hurts my heart, but they're going to do well. And you want to hear a fun fact real quick, Ethan?
Sure.
Tottenham have finished at some point in front of every team in the Premier League except for Arsenal.
That is funny.
They have never finished above Arsenal. That
might be the definition of little brother syndrome. Wow, that is
not once. I mean, that also means they've never won, obviously, but
wait, yeah, Tottenham's won league before. Didn't they win like the six? I thought they won league before.
I don't think so, man. And if I'm wrong, don't blame me. Blame Football Weekly by The Guardian, because that's where I heard this. But God, what an incredible stat. Third place. Ooh, I'm gonna reach a little bit here. I'm gonna say Everton comes up and gets third. I really like the way that team's built. The Lukaku-Barkley combination going forward is so filthy on the counterattack. This could be a rising team. And then in fourth place, slogging it together, somehow Manchester United. That's about where they belong. City, I'm a little concerned about their injury problems, about their age. It seems like they had a very hot start that's not sustainable. They're only tied for the top right now, and they've really been tailing off. I don't see this as a team that's going to dominate the entire way through the season. I kind of wanted to. I could still make an argument for Chelsea finishing fourth over Man U. I think Chelsea have a better team. I think they're playing a lot worse, but I think they have a better team. But we've talked about Chelsea. It's not looking good. It'll look better though. The supporters are behind Mourinho. He's not getting fired, which is great. I'm excited to see what he can do to rebuild the team, bring in some of the young players, and see how we do in the second half of the season. All right, well, that's that. Should we?
I like the Tottenham pick.
Yeah, Tottenham looks good. They are legitimately very good. Did you see any of the Tottenham Arsenal game?
Yeah, it did. Yes, yes, I did. That was a good game.
Tottenham looked better than Arsenal.
At times, yeah. I mean, it was like towards the end, Arsenal was looking really good, like they equalized and they were pushing for another goal. But Tottenham, it was a really close back and forth game. So I can't. I think it should have been. I think it was a deserved draw.
Yeah, I think that Tottenham is excellent this season. I don't know if it's quite the year for them to get that win over Arsenal in terms of league placement, but that is what it is. Do you want to pour one out real quick for the Sounders? Lost in PKs this weekend.
The polls and get rid of the endless playoffs. So I'll let you do the pouring you want, and my roommate actually asked me about that, and I really had no idea what was happening with them.
The Sounders?
And
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
expected to win or anything.
It's
So sorry to hear that the Sounders will not be winning anything this year.
Yeah, it's tough. It's Portland and Sporting Kansas City in the West. I don't know who's through in the East. Portland and whoever they were playing in their first round went to 11 rounds of PKs though.
Ooh, some goalie PKs, huh?
Yeah. Very dramatic. I was playing when it happened, and I didn't care to go back and watch, but maybe I will. And can we pour another one out for Overlake Girls Soccer, who finally fell out of the state playoffs?
Sure, I'll pour one out for Overlake Girls Soccer.
Good for them. They had a good season. Had our last practice yesterday. All right, I think that's about it.
Think so.
So, Ethan, if we have some followers who want to catch you on Twitter or call you or email you or send you some hate mail, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can tweet at me at tweet that. I don't remember the last time I've been on Twitter. It's been years. It's measured in years, I think.
Along those same lines, you can get in contact with me on Instagram, for which I have an account, but not the app.
Oh, yeah, me used to have an account, but not the app for Insta. I think I have an app somewhere hidden in the bowels of my phone, maybe. I don't know. I go on Instagram 3 to 4 times a year.
My most recent picture might be a picture of you, actually.
Oh, that scares me.
Well, you would have already seen it. It got uploaded about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's what scares me even more.
It's probably got 4 likes. All right, well.
Ooh.
That's probably it. So, thanks for listening, Ethan. Any last words?
No last words.
All right, go clubbing.